Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions. You are watching I Watch You Watch. We're covering Sistas on BET, Season 10, Episodes 2 and 3. Yes, I did not get to you on last week, but we're going to just make up for the old and get to the new. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Now let's get into both of these episodes. All right, y'all. So, just a brief recap of what happened in episode 2. It was entitled Guilty. The focus is on the emotional fallout of Sabrina's critical condition, with her friends struggling to maintain hope. Rich is going to push Tony to forgive Danny, and Andy clashes with Cheyenne over her invasive behavior, highlighting themes of guilt and sisterhood as characters face different burdens. Now, Sabrina remains uncertain condition, leaving her friends to grapple with fear and uncertainty, questioning if they are losing her. She's going into a coma right now. Andy did call Karen in regards to all this and all that good stuff. Danny was left as the guardian, the person in charge, and she has to make all the decisions if it ever has to come to that. With Andy and Cheyenne, Cheyenne's been going through Andy's stuff, wearing her stuff and her robe and all that, and Andy had a problem with that, as any person would. First, you come unannounced per your mama. Now, we get a little bit further into a little bit more of what's going on. I still don't approve of how Miss Vallis handles everything. But anyways, Andy confronts her for going through her belongings, leading to a tense standoff, and Andy demanding Cheyenne respect her privacy and boundaries. Fair. Of course, Rich is encouraging Tony to let go of his anger and forgive Danny. Tony's not in that space. I could respect Tony's stance, and I do get it. But Tony, you gotta quit acting like you didn't do anything in this relationship. You gotta come off your high horse and your stubbornness to actually say, you know what, I did steal from you, Danny. And you did steal. You didn't ask her for permission. Quit thinking that everything was yours is mine, mine is hers. Has she ever gone into your account to steal anything, to take anything, to borrow anything? And then you had the nerve and the audacity to take a lot. I was gonna put it back. Good for you, boo. But you could have said something, X, whatever. All because of whatever you had going on with you. Whatever. Of course, Maurice is just going through it. We really are seeing a different Maurice at this time, and I definitely don't mind it. I mean, let's get some more layers to Maurice. I think in the earlier seasons they had it, because it wasn't just always joking. He's had a lot of things happen to him. Hate crimes. He was locked up for a little while over some stuff that he didn't really do. And now we're kind of just seeing that there are more layers to him than just coming in and being a scene stealer. And most of the time he's saying different things that are kind of rude to his friends, but it's expected because he says them out of love, if you get what I mean. All right, so Cheyenne, by the end of the episode 2, we find out that Cheyenne likes to get a little freaky deaky. So she goes with this man and woman, and they have a good time. But she got arrested for being in the pool having relations. Now, let's go on into episode 3. Of course, the focus shifts into Andy dealing with family drama and blah, 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 blah. Andy is called by Cheyenne to say that I'm in jail. Andy had to go down there against what she wanted to do. She ends up getting everything situated. She discovers that Cheyenne not only was arrested for that her pupils were dilated, meaning that she was high. Now, whatever legal terms or whatnot, because Andy was like, I'm surprised you didn't get questioned for that. But I guess whatever legal terms, she got out of it. They start talking about the past, talking about how Cheyenne feels about Andy. and how she left their home, as a young child. And first Andy was like, we were raised different from this, so why would you do this? And she said, you left. You don't know how our mother raised us, or raised me. I was 8 years old when you left. Don't you remember how things were before Marvin died? We're like, whoa, okay, who's this Marvin character? I'm thinking Marvin is some boyfriend or new husband, stepdaddy to both of them. And I honestly believe, because Andy don't want to talk about it, which would explain why Andy disappeared and got her degrees and in law school and all that good stuff, and just didn't look back. However, Cheyenne feels a certain way because you left me in the midst of whatever's going on. I said, wow, it's going someplace deep with Andy. And I'm glad, because it's different to actually experience Andy out of the whole Gary drama. And it's just time for something else. So shout out to the writers for that. Now, Zach and Fatima, they had sex, but we didn't get to see it. We didn't get to see how it was back in the day when you saw their passionate sex, and they're just not really showing that. I think you really just get that on Fatima and on BET+. But anyways, they're laying at the foot of the bed instead of at the head post. What y'all doing down there? Friggy-diggy. Anyways, Zach's talking about opening up a gym. Well, actually taking over the gym that he's at and running that. I think that is great. Now, don't you remember that Rich wanted to expand his business? I think there should be what is it? Not morphing, but putting both businesses together. That's his healthy smoothie side, and the weight place is over there. I think it would do very well. But Fatima gets on a little bit of Mr. Keys because Zach says, I can't wait to get into this mentorship project that Mr. Keys has him under, and Fatima's like, I don't trust him. It just seemed odd that he even knows Andy's mom. Like they know each other. Like, what is really going on? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He wants to have a lot more children with Fatima. Of course, that's a little bit more up to her. A little bit more. Of course, y'all are a couple, but, make sure that she wants to have them. Her body is okay, even after this, because I believe that she did have a heaven baby of her choice. Next, Danny goes grocery shopping. She's going to her car and putting her groceries in her trunk. Next thing you know, Officer Marcus, now I finally know his first name, the light-skinned dude that she cheated on Tony with. He comes and says, I haven't heard from you, blah, 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 blah. I've been calling. I've been shopping too, da-da-da-da-da. And she said, well, I got a lot of stuff going on right now, and I just haven't been really up to it. And he says, I want to see you. And she's like, I'm not really into it. Look, we shouldn't have done what we did, da-da-da-da-da. I cheated on my boyfriend for you. Da. But anyways, she keeps it short, tries to keep it short and sweet, like, I just want to be alone. He acts like he's okay with it. Danny pulls off, and then we get the real Officer Marcus, which I felt like something was off about him because he was way, way too pushy. I would call him a little aggressive in his approach. And a lot of people like that. I'm not victim shaming or whatnot. A lot of people love that type of pursuing, where you just really press hard. But it's like, bruh, if I'm telling you I got a significant other and you're still pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and no, absolutely not. So when Danny pulls off, he's getting frustrated and he throws whatever the bag of groceries that he had in his hand in the garbage. Obviously, that was just a decoy to act like he was really shopping and just ran into her. Now, Andy and Cheyenne, they go home. They put up a front, or they half tell the truth about what really happened with Cheyenne. Because Miss Val is up. Andy, she got you running scared up in your own house. But she's wondering where they've been. And they lie. Cheyenne says that Hey, I got a little drunk and I asked Andy to come pick me up from this party. Cool. Later on, Cheyenne, she goes and takes a bath. Then Ms. Val had her own conversation with Andy to try to get to the truth and all that, blah, 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 blah. Andy lets it slip about her being arrested. And then Val wants to know what was that all about. Well, you got to talk to her about that. That's on her, blah, 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 blah. So then Miss Val goes to Cheyenne. Cheyenne's in the bathtub. She's already doing that. So the type of high isn't some type of weed. No. We're going to the next level with all this. She sniffs. But the mama doesn't see that or whatnot. She falls asleep in the bathtub. When Miss Val gets up in there, she's like, what's up? What's going on? Why are you sitting in a cold tub? Like, I guess the water has already gotten cold. Obviously, there's a lot going on with Cheyenne that, despite of what we're going to find out a little bit more, that Miss Val doesn't, that knows whatnot. And she said, you got to really get it together. You can't be doing all these different inconveniences to your sister. You can learn from her, da 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 da. This is your chance for a new start. Excuse me? Don't mess it up. I think Miss Val gave indication of something not right with Cheyenne to Andy. I forgot the exact term that she used or whatnot. But it's kind of for her to start over again. I think she told Andy, and then she told Cheyenne, "This is a new start for you." Da 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 da. Of course, Cheyenne's giving some attitude and all that, but she's got to listen to Mama. I don't like what Miss Val is doing to Andy. You did all of this extra stuff just to try to get your daughter into your other daughter's home. Not saying that you don't have cancer, but you use that to your advantage to try to guilt Andy into taking her in, and I don't have any respect for that. Like, what? What are you doing? Later on, Cheyenne's checking her messages. And next thing you know, this guy is calling. He says, hey, I've been calling and calling and calling, and you haven't been da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I've been calling your mother. Where are you? You can see that the fear over Cheyenne over this person. Some people think it's an abusive lover. I think it has something to do with pimp and prostitution type of ordeal. That's still abuse. But I think it's a little bit higher than just some dude. So Miss Val, you talking about going back to your home. Do you think that it's really safe to go back there? Because he's trying to get to you too, so that he can get to Cheyenne. So I think it's going to go deep with Andy, and I'm glad for it. Maybe we can really find out as to why she keeps doing this stuff with these men that she gets with. And we get to know Cheyenne a little bit more. Have I enjoyed how she's been presented? Before we knew that there was some type of abuse as to how she's even acting out? No. Can I be a little bit more understanding? Yeah. But I'm sure she's going to do a whole lot more acting out as time goes on. Maurice, he calls Calvin. Calvin can't even say what's really up with Sabrina before. I mean, Maurice is not able to say what's up before Calvin goes into this incoherent. Maurice tried his best to try to tell him about what was going on with Sabrina, and nothing could calm him down. Crying like a woman that is in distress. I don't know why they did that to that man, but oh well. Maurice said, I really can't take it. I'm going to have to get off this phone. He later calls Pam because he's really feeling away and he needs some support. Dylan's with his sister because Dylan's trying to break everything over to his sister right now as to what's going on. So that support that he needs is not there right now. Pam is kind of there, but then she said, I just woke up from this dream. They start talking about the salon. She was asked to do this person's hair. And the comb that she was using to comb out the hair started laughing at her. She saw Karen and a baby Faye. They were sitting in one of the chairs and they were laughing at her, and then Aaron was baptizing the person. It was bad. Maurice really just came to the conclusion, you probably are in fear. She said, yeah, I've never really done this without Karen being there, even though you kind of were doing things on your own. I don't know, but I think that you do value Karen, despite how you thought Karen ran things and how she treated you sometimes. But anyways, they got off the phone. I guess things are a little bit better at this point. So Danny's at home. She's pigging out on all her sweets that she got to try to medicate herself through what's up. She's using her vape, all that good stuff. And then she's getting this knock at the door. And the knocks kept coming and coming and coming. Guess who it is? Officer Mark. Danny could not say it any more simpler and more plainer. I don't want you to be here. I can do this by myself. I want to be alone. Leave me alone. He's trying to pursue to try to really get in there and all that. I want to be there for you. Blah, 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 blah. It was way too much. It was way too much. By the time Danny was getting to the point where, like, okay, he's not going away, I gotta make him go away, she tried to push the door in to try to, get him to go, but that didn't happen. He kicked it back and got on and bursted in her house. Took her to her bedroom and started strangling her. From that point, he was trying to lift up her skirt and was inserting himself, not his hand, inserting his hand in there. Danny broke free. And she hit him a couple times and then, of course, got him into the kitchen area. And she got her cast iron skillet. All she needed was some hot grits. But anyways, shout out to Medea. She whacked him and whacked him and whacked him. I'll say that Officer Green got off light in regards to the earlier seasons when someone tried to F with her. Yet another man trying to attack her. It's quite crazy. It's quite crazy. So he finally gets up and runs and out the door. And that was the end of the episode. That was a lot, y'all. That was a lot. I hate that for Danny. I hate that for Danny. And I know she's going to feel even worse because she chose him as a lover and now he's come back to do harm to him or her like that. And since he's a police officer, I'm even questioning that right now. Because he said something like, I am the law. I think she said, I'm going to call the police. And he said, I am the police. Yeah, it was quite disturbing. And I hate that Danny had to go through that yet again. The therapist is back. I think this show has taken a dramatic turn. I'm hoping that there's still more humor coming along. It's just the third episode, so I'm not picky right now. But I think we're going to have to get that balance in there. But it's heavily drama-filled and drama-led right now. So I'm for it, though, for discovering stuff that's going on with Andy and Cheyenne and that Mammy. What is this connection between Val and Keys and all that good stuff? And to see also Danny's journey. In the next episode, we meet the new cast member. I forgot what her name is supposed to be, but she will be on, and I'm glad that they did it that way, where the writers didn't put both of the characters on at the same time. Let some story develop for Cheyenne, and then we can go on to the ladder and all that. But y'all let me know about this episode, how you felt about it. Give me your feedback, but that's all I do have. I appreciate you for coming. Like, comment, subscribe, and until the next one, peace.